You might have heard the quote, Paris is always a good idea, but how about in the winter? Specifically, how about visiting Paris in February? I went to Paris last February with a friend, and we spent 4 days in the city. So in this video, I am going to share with you some of the reasons why you might want to consider visiting Paris in February, some things to keep in mind while packing to go to Paris in the winter time, and some ideas for what to do in Paris in February. Let's start with why you might want to consider visiting Paris, this iconic, beautiful city, off peak season, i.e. in February. Because it's off season, you're going to see fewer crowds. Now it's Paris, right? Paris is always going to have some degree of crowding, but it's going to be significantly less than what you might experience in peak season of summer. The way this benefits you is that you might be able to find cheaper flights and more affordable accommodations as well. Another reason to visit Paris in February is, hello, Valentine's Day. You can go to the city of love. Now, I frequently talk about solo travel, but I have been to even a destination as romantic as Paris by myself, and it is perfectly wonderful. We didn't plan it this way when we went, but my friend and I happened to be there over Valentine's Day. I booked my trip solo, and then she decided later that she could come. So I did end up having someone to go to dinner with on Valentine's Day. Whether you'd be solo or with a special someone in Paris on Valentine's Day, going in February has that added appeal of being able to say you celebrated Valentine's Day in Paris. Also, Paris in February can be cozy, not like February, say, in Chicago, where I basically try not to go outside. We had mostly blue skies and the sun was shining a lot of days. There was some rain, but nothing that kept us inside and nothing that kept us uncomfortable with being out all day. If you are in California or Florida and considering going to Paris in February, you have a different set of considerations than me going to Paris in February from Chicago. It's actually better for me to be there in some regard. Some things to know about the weather in Paris in February. So snow in Paris is rare. It rarely happens, and when it does, it's a light dusting and it doesn't really stick. And when it comes to what to pack when you're visiting Paris in February, most important thing is having a chic wool coat that you feel really comfortable in. And it doesn't have to be a wool coat. You can also go with something that is waterproof or fleece lined. But I strongly recommend choosing a coat that you feel really confident and stylish in and feel like you look good in, because since you're going to be there in February, you're probably going to have your coat on most of the time when you are out and about. It's going to show up in a lot of your pictures. This is going to be one of the centerpieces, if not the centerpiece, of your Parisian wardrobe in the winter. You definitely need a scarf, both for function and fashion, and you can either bring one with you or buy one there as a souvenir. For underneath the coat, go for sweaters and layers. Absolutely, you need comfortable walking shoes. Probably going to walk a lot in Paris. It's part of the fun of it. And I also recommend fleece-lined leggings. In case you're bringing any dresses, you can throw them on under dresses, or you can also use them to layer under jeans or your trousers on days when it's particularly cold. More detailed insights like that about planning your trip to Paris, I do have a blog post that I wrote about our trip Paris in February, so I will link that. And I also have another one that focuses on the weather. And I have a blog post on how to make a minimalist winter travel capsule wardrobe. So I will link all of those relevant, helpful blog posts in the description below. But for now, I want to move us on to some of the best fun things to do while you're in Paris in February. If you're liking the video so far, just a quick reminder to hit like and subscribe. Like I said, I was lucky enough to be in Paris in February with a friend of mine. This was my friend's very first time, not only in Paris, but in Europe. And she trusted me with helping to plan her adventure there. Luckily, this was, I think, my 5th time in Paris, so I've been quite a bit. Even though I've been so many times, every time I go, I find new things to do. There's so much to explore. I arrived a day before my friend, so one of the things I did that I had not done before was take a formal food tour of the Marais neighborhood, which is one of the most popular neighborhoods in Paris. I'm sure you've come across it in your research. It is known to be great for vintage and thrift shopping, but it also has beautiful architecture and great character to it. The food tour I booked was with a company that I have used before and that I tend to use frequently when I travel, and they're called Devour Tours. I first discovered them back when I traveled to Spain maybe in 2016. What I love about Devour Tours is that they really establish strong relationships with people who they work with locally and do what they can to create really unique and immersive experiences. This food tour was so cool because we really kind of broke the mold on the types of foods we were eating. We had crepes, but they weren't the kind of crepes you would expect. We had staple Parisian French food items that you would expect, but also some that you never would have thought to try on your own or to seek out had you not booked a tour like this. I did a detailed review on this food tour, which you guessed it, I will link in the description below. Anytime I'm talking about something on this channel and you want more information, there's a good chance that it's somewhere floating around on my blog, so you can ask me about that and I can give you a link. Once my friend arrived, she was ready. She was ready to hit the ground running. So I made my way back to the Montmartre neighborhood. So I made my way back to the Montmartre neighborhood. Please excuse my pronunciation at any point in this video because I do not speak French. But that is the neighborhood. That is my favorite neighborhood. It is usually where I stay when I go to Paris. We spent some time wandering around through the main plaza there. And then made our way to Sacre, Couer. We paid, I believe it was around €8 a person to climb all the way up to the top. There are a lot of stairs, but it is worth it for these incredible views. I think I did a good job of introducing the city to my friend. What do you think? In my opinion, one of the most fun things to do in Paris is to wander aimlessly and look around at all of the architecture and stop into cafes on a whim. It was nice enough out in February for us to sit out and enjoy a crepe at the park, or to sit at an outdoor restaurant to enjoy some hot chocolate, and even to go to an outdoor viewpoint over the city. What might surprise you is that it was also nice enough for us to take a Seine river cruise. But when you go to book one of these cruises, usually the photos that they show on the booking page is of people enjoying a Seine River cruise in summer. The sun is shining, everything is green, they're dressed in summer clothes. So if you see those pictures, you might wonder, wait, can I even do this in the winter? So I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. We did the Seine River cruise. We sat outside. We were not the only ones. We had our coats on, we had our scarves, and it was perfectly fine. It was comfortable. It did start to get rainy and misty toward the end, and so we sort of ducked inside. But it was okay. You can take the Seine River cruise if you are going to Paris in February. Another thing you can do in Paris in February is visit Versailles. This was my very first time going to Versailles. Honestly, I don't know if I would have made it there if I didn't travel with a friend who wanted to go. In spring and summertime, of course, you would have a lot more greenery and sunshine and flowers to experience the grounds of Versailles. But I actually felt like the February moodiness really set a strong Versailles vibe. A logistical thing to note, we rented a golf cart, but I actually do not recommend that. It is pricey and inconvenient. It's better to just they have a train that circulates their campus because there are different areas of Versailles you can visit. It's affordable and reliable. I would just go with that option if you decide to do Versailles on your own. There are also a lot of really great tours you could book that I would consider booking. I think if I went in the summer, more popular months, but this was easy enough for us to do on our own. But I also need to tell you that there is a downside to visiting Versailles in February or in the winter months, and that is you won't be able to see their musical gardens and fountain show. We did not get to see that. It was not an option because I believe they only have that running from the end of March to the end of October, which just means you can go twice, right? Or if you really want to go to Versailles and have the full experience, then Paris in February might not be for you. As far as getting to and from Versailles, in the morning we took an Uber out there just because we had a really early entry time and didn't want to deal with figuring out the trains and all of that and being up super early. This is what I say is traveling in your 30s for me is very different from traveling in my 20s. And this is part of it. It's about the convenience factor. And so we took an Uber in the morning to get to Versailles. But then on the way back, we had obviously more time and we weren't in any kind of rush. And so we went back via the train to Paris. Next, one really fun and cozy thing to do in Paris in February is to take a pastry making class. This was so fun. It is something that I had been wanting to do for a while and I had never taken any kind of a cooking class in Paris yet. Saturday morning, we walked over and we took this 6-person croissant making class. It was the perfect way for us to spend a Saturday morning, and we had our fresh baked snacks to carry around with us for the rest of the day and just snack on as we shopped and walked around town. It was great. Highly recommend. I have a short video about it and I also have a blog post about it, so I'll link that. Now, in between all of this, all of these things to do, there are also tons of great restaurants and cafes and bars in Paris. There's so much of that you can discover for yourselves, but one that surprised me was the cocktail bar hidden under in the basement of one of Paris's famous chain restaurants at the moment. So this restaurant chain blew up on TikTok. It's called Pizza Mama and they have really aesthetic restaurants. There are, I think, about 6 of them across Paris. Definitely have to reserve in advance. They tend to be busy and it's Italian food. But if you don't care about eating there, you can just go downstairs to the cocktail bar. I just have to share this because look at this menu. There is a Bollywood themed drink on here with the love of my life, Shah Rukh Khan. So I grew up watching Bollywood movies. It was such an unexpected, I just turned the page and there he was, and there was Kajol, and it was such an unexpected little treat. I did not get this drink. Please, if you go, order it for me and let me know what you think. I love Paris so much, and just the other day I was getting the itch again to go back. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them for you. I have a lot of Paris and France overall content over on the blog, so feel free to check that out. And if you liked this video and if you want more travel content, then please hit like and subscribe. Au revoir.